Lead with Humanity, we've always been intrigued by a shifting world, a changing world, a world full of challenge and full of unpredictability. And in trying to find some answers for ourselves as to how we might handle that world, we came across the most wonderful model. It's a physical representation of perhaps what we're experiencing right now. I certainly grew up in a world that was highly predictable, it was highly measurable, and I guess quite linear in its approach. You could know exactly when to put your finger in and when to take it out because it is predictable and it is measurable and it is relatively linear. Clever scientists will tell you exactly when it will stop due to gravity and friction. And so this was a world that I certainly grew up in. A world of some command and control, a world of hierarchy, a world of power, where most of the authority sat with the heavyweights at the top, and our role in this organization was simply just to grease the wheels of efficiencies. Our role was not to ask too many questions, make sure the organization meets its targets, deliver to shareholders, take the past, extrapolate into the future, and predict with some degree of certainty what our outcomes will be, what our bottom line might be, what even our market share might be. So a world of top-down hierarchy, command and control, and somewhat autocratic. The heavyweight decides which direction we're going to go, and to a large degree sets the speed of the organization, and the rest of us are simply there to grease those wheels. I think, though, what we're experiencing now, maybe more than ever, is that perhaps our world isn't like that. And all I'm going to do now is change one variable. This happens to be a small pin held together by a little wing nut. And I'm going to change one variable in this system. Think for a moment about the variables that we are facing right now. Of course, it might be this thing called COVID, but it could be legislation in your business. It might be a new policy in education. It could be a piece of regulation. It might be some new technology, just one variable. We change that variable, and then potentially our world may look like this. It may be somewhat chaotic. It may be seemingly all over the place and without control. And the common way to have described this in the past has been that we're living in this VUCA world, this acronym that stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. That the world is volatile. It's changing all the time, and it's uncertain. We don't know what's going to happen. It's complex, that one small thing that changes can lead to other changes in the system that we didn't expect. And there may be more than one answer in that it is ambiguous. Some things stand out for me here. And the first one is that we absolutely cannot control this anymore. And from our point of view at Leading with Humanity, it might be that perhaps we can influence this though. We can't control it, but maybe we can influence certain parts of it. I think a second thought that emerges is that we can't manage this anymore, that the world of management is being questioned. What we can do though is step up into leadership positions, leadership thoughts, leadership influences as we go. And in the old model, everything was centrally controlled. Everything came back to the center, that there was this command and control structure. And yet now, it seems that maybe the person that's out here is the very right one to deal with it in the time. That the person that's got close to the coalface, or is closest to the client, or closest to the product development, or to innovation, might be the person that should have the autonomy to deal with this. Because in here are some extraordinary opportunities. There's some extraordinary opportunities for new ways of thinking, for new energy to emerge, for different relationships. And what we can never do is put the pin back. We can't go back to what it used to look like, as comfortable as that old predictable style might have been. We're also questioned to think, is this VUCA world a new thing? Or has it actually been around for a long, long time? That maybe the Second World War was also volatile and uncertain, and the Spanish flu 100 years ago was volatile and uncertain, and the advent of motor cars caused this disruption in the horse industry. And so disruption is a part of our lives. It's not going to get any better. I think it was somebody who said, welcome to the quietest day of the rest of your life. Welcome to the quietest day of the rest of your life. That there's going to be disruption. And that just moving one pin, one variable, could cause this. Imagine what happens when other pins and other variables are moving and changing constantly. So maybe we're not thinking of a VUCA world as a new thing. It's been around a long time. Perhaps, though, what is new is that it is an VUCA world. And the E in that acronym stands for exponential. It is happening much faster than it ever happened before. And so when we think that it was predictable and measurable and linear, perhaps now it is exponentially exciting for the opportunities that may exist. Okay, so we're going to give this a spin, and now we're going to concentrate on what happens to the old idea of leadership. If this is top leadership, middle leadership, and the workers at the bottom of a traditional hierarchical organization, have a look what happens. The top leadership starts with all the energy, all the direction, maybe even all the strategy. They set the tone potentially. But keep looking at this big wheel as it moves. Sometimes it moves quicker because of the others, and then sometimes it second guesses itself and goes back on a different direction. And so maybe the lesson here is that we can't expect top leadership to find all the answers. They themselves are in a position where they are uncertain. They're not sure. They start knowing, they start thinking they know. We set the direction for the business, but at a point we second guess. We go, well, I'm not sure. What's the answer? There's a new disruptor. Well, maybe it's this way. Well, it could be that way. Well, maybe not. Let's go to another market. Let's try a new product. And all the energy is still happening at other levels within the business. And perhaps this leadership of the future is going to enable and galvanize the energy, the ideas, the relationships that are forming at this level to keep the process alive. And that's what's exciting.